On day 1, I spawned into the blazing desert as Nico. But not just any Nico, a baby Nico. But oh no, where was my best partner and friend Cash?
Yippee-ki-yay! Fresh meat on the range. Now who might you be? These grounds are my turf, and I don't take too kindly to strangers.
I'm playing Nico. I don't mean you any trouble, sir, but I promise I'll get out of your fuzz if you tell me where my best friend Cash might be.
Cash? Too late to the rodeo, fella. With a name like Cash, I thought he might be loaded with money. So I nabbed him for myself long before you got here.
You kidnapped Cash?
Yes, sirree. They don't call me the sticky-pawed squirrel for nothing. I'm the most wanted and feared rodent in all the Wild West. If you want to get your partner back, you're gonna have to catch me first, fella. Yeehaw!
Panicked for my friend's safety, I started to run after Sticky Paws, but he was too quick to chase. I knew catching him would be difficult, being he was one of the most wanted bandits and all, but I had to get my friend Cash back, even if it took me 100 days. Oh man, this sucks. I missed Cash already. On day 2, I ventured all around the wild and western desert, wondering where evil old Sticky Paws could have gone, or more importantly, where he could be keeping my friend. Oh, dagnabbit, this is gonna take a while. I had just noticed I only had 6 hearts. I knew I'd need to eat something if I wanted to stay as fit as a fiddle, but luckily for me, the Wild West is known for its occasional oasis and their wildly delicious apples. I munched into the apples, wishing I had some cowboy apple cobbler instead, but as I munched and crunched, I was shocked to hear a voice shout out from behind me.
What do you think you're doing? Eating my southern snacks without permission. Those are my doggone apples of vomit.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm just a cow baby cowboy.
That's what they all say.
The creature lunged at me, pawing and clawing with a grave amount of dastardly destruction. He was super powerful, so powerful that I thought those apples may have been my last meal. Why do you care so much about these apples anyways?
My bandit boss, evil old sticky-pawed squirrel, makes tons of money selling these things. They're very hard to grow in this particular climate. And as most wanted and feared agricultural consultant of the county, I should know. Now eat this, doggone it!
The creature slashed once more, but his paws were no match for another pair of more powerful paws, the paws of the law, Sheriff Lionessas!
How'd you like them apples? Phew, that was a close one. Almost as close as 2 June bugs jigging at a high school dance. A little cow baby like you needs to learn the ins and outs of these here parts. Here, follow me, kid, and I'll show you the ropes.
On day 3, I followed Sheriff Lionessa back to her campout campfire, a place her and her loyal partner like to discuss wanted varmints and roast marshmallow marmots.
And this is my loyal deputy Bubbles.
Round these parts, they call me Toothface, because my face is made of teeth. Stop calling me Bubbles, Nessa. It doesn't fit my rough and tough persona.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Toothface. I'm Nico. Patooey! Toothface spit into his favorite spittoon. Sheriff Lionessa continued with what would soon be our impenetrable plan.
We've been trying to wrangle that sticky-pawed squirrel for years, but he's just too quick and sticky for us law-abiding folk to nab. Tell you what, cow baby, you help us catch this fiendish furry fella, and we'll get your friend Cash back quicker than a cheetah riding a racehorse driving this race car. With the 3 of us together, we're sure to be the best crime-fighting cluster in the entire West. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw indeed! Let's do it! And with that, we lickety-split into the desert, holsters at our sides, and sticky squirrels on our minds. Cash, my bestest partner, I'm coming for you, buddy! From day 4 to day 5, the sheriff and I prowled through the desert, gathering wood to craft a wooden pickaxe. I prowled even more, and gathered myself some stone. In fact, I gathered so much stone that it was enough to craft a set of, wait for it, diamond tools! Nah, I'm just kidding. You can't make diamond tools from stone. They were just regular stone tools, a stone pickaxe, and a stone sword. Lionessa was in desperate need of a catnap from all that prowling, so I began to build ourselves a wonderful western base. I made Nessa a nice new sheriff's office with a cool sheriff sign and a nice desk and furniture. Then I made myself a cool 2-story two-story Western-themed general store house with a bedroom on the second floor and filled the first floor with some candy, everyday utilities, and clothing. Lastly, I set up a couple of small jail cells for the sticky-pawed squirrel for when we eventually catch him with our own sticky paws.
My, great work, partner. This place is quainter than a mug bean on a snowflake. But now it's time for this big cat to rest her big feline head.
As Sheriff Lionessa drifted off to sleep, probably dreaming off about lassoing salmon to eat or something. With the sheriff asleep, I knew my duty called, so I sat behind her desk, being Nessa's deputy number 2 and all. I heard a knock at the door. Well, howdy, partner. How can I?
Hands where I can see 'em, deputy. I'm the Burlap Lapleaf Bandit, and this is a good old-fashioned bandits raid. Woo-hee!
Just like he said, the Lapleaf Bandit began raiding our sheriff's office, putting his sticky paws all over everything we held dear. Nessa, help! Wake up! We're under attack!
Oh, meow. Tuna fish. Meow. Tilapia.
With Lionessa deep into her slumber, I knew what I had to do. Grabbing my stone sword, I began striking the Burlap Leaf Bandit, relentless with my swings until he was no more. Now make like a tree and lap leaf. With my first victory as second deputy, destroying that dastardly fiend gave me 12 hearts, a growth spurt, and a brand new deputy power, an ice blast. Wow, this'll come in handy when we're trying to catch that squirrel. Just like Scrat, we'll send it back to the Ice Age. From day 6 to day 8, I wandered the eroded Badlands like a desperado, knowing that my authority as second deputy gave me the right to arrest any thieving squirrels I came across. Of course, my secondary objective was to keep the peace in the overworld, and right now, peace was very much disturbed by the yowling screams of one strange old goblin.
Help! Help! There's a ghost about. It's hotting up a storm and getting ghost lava all over the sand.
Now, I'd seen a lot of crazy things in my time as a Minecraft player, but hearing that goblin say such things immediately seemed suspicious. I was prepared to walk on when the goblin started to shout for help from me directly.
Help! Help! Please, Mr. Second Deputy, there's a spooky ghost out here, and if you don't get up and stop it, the darn thing is gonna start scaring the sun away and making it all night-like and such.
Engaging in this nonsense wasn't my first plan when I got up this morning, but I suppose I had responsibility to the land and to the star-shaped badge of the sheriff. All right, where is this ghost you speak of?
Oh, that's an easy question. The ghost is right behind you, of course.
I turned around and was startled by a freaky ghost, which was immune to my stone sword attacks because it would phase right through them. This looks like the perfect time to try out my Ice Blast. I fired away with my deputy Ice Blast. It took many shots, but I managed to drop the ghost like a bag of ice. That goblin danced and rejoiced because I was his hero.
You done saved me from the dank old ghost. Thank you, Deputy.
Just doing my job, Mr.
You can call me Goom. Crazy old Goom. If you want to be more specific, come with me. I know a whole mess of desert secrets you ought to know about, like the log cabins of Boogaboo, the dancing cacti, and the dark dolphin.
What was that last one?
The dark dolphin. Ooh, take it from crazy old Goom. That critter is trouble.
Somewhat reluctantly, I followed crazy old Goom deeper into the eroded Badlands, not knowing what strange adventures would await a Lone Star Nico and his goblin. From day 9 to day 10, me, Nico, and my stand-in for Cash, Goom, set off on a new western quest to defeat the dark dolphin he kept rambling on and on about.
And he's got those red, glowing eyes and those sharp, gnarly claws. Oh, Nico, that dastardly dark dolphin's been causing so much trouble around here. Never seemed to believe me until now. No one except, well, you.
Well, at first, I wouldn't have believed you either, being you seem like a crazy old kook with no evidence to back up your claims. Since I actually got a good look at the ghost you were hollering about, think you might actually hold some truth to these tall tales. Now, where'd you say that dolphin was again?
Yes, right here. You frivolous fools. You've wandered right into my trap.
A cartoonishly timed booby trap deployed all around us. Trapped within its walls, we were met face to face with...
Yes, 'tis I, Dashing Dallas, the dastardly dog dolphin. If I had the ability to grow facial hair, I'd be twirling my mustache right now.
What do you want with us, outlaw of the land? Let us go.
I want nothing but to cause mischief, malevolent mischief, with my contrary criminal contraptions. Enjoy your treacherous time in your own personal prison, as I am the dastardly dog dolphin, and I defiantly do what I wiggly want.
As the dark dolphin land swam away, Goom was able to slip through a crack in the trap, his brittle old man bones allowing him to contort in loads of mildly ominous ways.
Come on, Second Deputy Nico. We gotta go get him.
He broke the trap for me, allowing for both our escapes. I would, Goom, but Dallas's excess use of alliteration really made my brain hurt. I think it's best if we head back to my base before my brain bursts to bits. Oh no, now he's got me doing it. Anyways, let's go home. From day 11 to day 12, I brought Goom back to my western base and noticed the sheriff built another building. I decided to add a nice wooden porch to it for Goom to sit on, complete with a rocking chair. Now crazy old Goom can sit and mumble things at passerbys to his goblinoid heart's content. As soon as I was done with Goom's porch, I went searching for the gob himself and hoped he didn't wander off. It turns out that he had done pretty much the exact opposite, working inside the base to provide me with some choice upgrades like a furnace and a computer room. Wow, I gotta admit, you're a lot better at everything than I expected, COG.
I just figured a computer room might be a nice way to stay informed on events beyond this desert. It's helped me connect to fellow Cube Earthers all around the globe.
Yeah, well, thank you, in any case.
Yeah, what's that? You want to know about Sticky Paws? I've crossed paths with him before, like it was 11 days ago. Sticky Paws just showed up in front of me like a bandit.
Yippee-ki-yay, fresh meat on the range. Now who might you be? These grounds are my turf, and I don't take too kindly to strangers.
I'm Goom, crazy old Goom. If you want to be specific, do you reckon to have any idea where my best friend Cash might be?
Cash? Too late to the rodeo, fella. With a name like Cash, I thought he might be loaded with money. So I nabbed him for myself long before you got here.
No, Cash! And that was the day that I lost my best friend Cash to the sticky paws of the notoriously squirrely son of a gun.
Goom, I totally feel for you and all, but that happened to me, not you.
Huh? What are we talking about?
Rather than unpack the weirdness of that flashback, I went mining for iron ore and found ore than enough to forge some iron ingots. And from those ingots, I was able to craft an iron pickaxe and an iron sword. Back above ground, I rustled up some sheep and put them in my pen that would keep them in. Cash used to love tending to the sheep at our bases. I gotta get him back or I'll be stuck adventuring with Goom. From day 13 to day 15, I was tired of crazy old Goom's ramblings never making sense, so I went to Sheriff Lionessa's office for some much needed, much more sane advice. Lionessa, how did you get into the position you are today? I need to get better at being second deputy, cause right now, I feel more like a deputy 200th. All my efforts to capture that squirrel feel useless, and the desert is filled with so many fiends, I just can't keep track of them all.
I was a wee little kitten. We used to go down by the stream and practice catching fish between my paws. At first, I was real bad at it, but the more I practiced, the more I just made perfect. Everybody's gotta start somewhere, kid, but the more you strengthen your snatching skills, the easier it'll get. Trust me, if you keep at it, you'll be snagging squirrels in no time. You just gotta get through a few dolphins first.
Thanks, Nessa. I think I'll go do some practice now.
That's the spirit, kiddo. Maybe you'll even become my next first deputy. Bubbles has been considering retiring anyways.
I headed off to the Badlands, ready to flex my new and improved deputive self-confidence. But with no surprise to me, in came another one of Sticky Pod Squirrel's henchmen. But this time, I was ready for him.
Hold up. This is a robbery.
Hey, I came into your domain, so technically, I'm the one doing the robbing. Robbing your life, that is! With a grandiose yeehaw, I charged towards my formidable foe, channeling all the advice Lionessa had given me prior. Like a big cat catching a small fish, I swooped, ducked, and slashed, focusing on my inner second deputiness and drawing forth a large blast of icy pain. Hold up. More like freeze! The henchman fell to the ground, as stiff as a frozen treat. That wasn't the only treat he left me with, as I got 20 hearts, a jump boost, and a crazy new upgrade. Whoa, now I can climb walls, just like how Lionessa can climb trees. Only unlike cats, I can make my way back down again on my own, without the need of a fireman. From day 16 to day 19, I went up north to see the frozen river, a chilly biome where the surface of the water was walkable because it had turned to ice. Ah, what a peaceful snowy place. I walked amidst the trees until I came to a stately log cabin. Seeing the light of fire in the windows, I found my way inside and was treated to a totally empty abode. Nobody. That's what I get for barging into random houses, I guess. I found a book on the wood table and proceeded to read from it because there wasn't anything better to do. Dear journal, and not diary, because I'm a rough and tough outlaw goblin. My partner in crime's training is coming along like a sarsaparilla root in a barrel full of molasses, and by that I mean good. For a squirrely little fella, this kid sure has a knack for stealing. Pretty soon, they're gonna start calling him Sticky Paws. I'm so proud of my dang partner, and I can't wait to spend a long criminal career together. He'd never betray me in a tragic and dramatic fashion. Clever young Goom. Clever young Goom? Could he be related to crazy old Goom? I didn't have time to realize the obvious because a big bonanza of Baracco Banditos burst into the cabin and tried to take me out.
There he is. That's Nico, formerly of Cash and Nico. Go get him.
I iced off some fire blasts. I fired off some ice blasts and ran out the door as quickly as I could. The Baraccos followed me to the river where I drew my iron sword and started hacking away at the ice. They all fell into the frozen river, and that was that. They don't call me Slippery Ice Nico for nothing. In fact, they don't call me that at all. From day 20 to day 22, I returned to my base, proud of all the practice and accomplishments I've made. Lionessa really was right. Practice does make perfect. A perfect second deputy, that is. To keep my squirrel hunting muscles in shape, I decided to go gather more materials, hoping to upgrade my gear and maybe add an extra point to my deputy star in the process. I deserved it. I headed to the caverns and ravaged for more iron, feeling like a true bona fide Western mineral miner. Silver and gold, there's nothing better than mining for iron. Striking gold, iron in this instance, I used my iron ore and ingots to craft myself an iron chestplate, boots, and a helmet, which in my opinion is way cooler than a deputy star you wear on your chest. But even though I was deep into the mines, I heard a maniacal laughter from above that I could only identify as alliteratively familiar. Rushing up to the surface using my wall climbing skills, I dashed into the black forest, following the evil cackles of a familiar foe.
Ha ha ha, hee hee, off, I chortle and choff, so come with me, and you will see a wallet that will morph. Morph to have more money, of course. Of course.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You dingbat dolphin, the sticky-pawed squirrel works alone. I don't need any partners. I'm too smart to let one in and be betrayed.
Dallas, the dastardly dark dolphin, and the sticky-pawed squirrel all in one place? Hey, are you guys partners?
No, I'll work alone, and so will you. Forever, you cow baby Nico, and you're never getting your pal cash back. Teamwork's for chumps. Yee-hoo!
As the sticky-pawed squirrel scurried off, I was left with just Dallas, who was already eyeing me up. But I wouldn't let him trap me again, because this time I'd win. Yee-haw! I shouted, running out of the way. I scurried up the tree with my wall climbing powers, just as useful on trees, and stood above Dallas, the dastardly dark dolphin, one last time, preparing to unleash my own cartoonish booby trap on him. Hey, dashing Dallas, you'd better start dashing now. I sprung my trap, then hurried to deliver the final blow. Finally defeated, the world was finally at peace from the dark dolphin's silly crimes. Now that's what I call clever, creative courageousness. Oh no, wait, alliteration? Ugh, ugh. But amidst my victory, I paused for a second, thinking about what the Sticky Pod Squirrel had said. Now why would anyone ever want to work alone? It's hard to believe that squirrel's never had any friends throughout his lifetime. Man, I can only hope to grow old with my best partner, Cash. That is, if I can ever get him back. Oh. From day 23 to day 26, I returned to the base to tell crazy old Goom that I had defeated the mischievous Dashing Dallas, the dark dastardly dolphin. He was overjoyed to see me after I had been out questing for so long.
Yeehaw! You actually done defeated that ding-dang-dum dolphin. Real hero, I reckon.
That's Goom. Say, have you ever heard of somebody named Clever Young Goom?
Sounds mighty familiar. But if I done heard that name ever in my life, 'twas a plumb long time ago. But I'll tell you what, if I ever done get my brain back, I'm sure I could tell ya.
Get your brain back?
Yes, sirree. Somebody done stole my brain out my ear a long time ago. I don't rightly know who it was. One of life's great mysteries. Or one of my life's great mysteries, anyhow.
I peeled away from the conversation, knowing that any further elaboration on Goom's stolen brain would have to wait until another scene. I did some regular old iron mining and got a whole bunch more iron ore. The next batch of iron ingots I smelted went towards making an anvil. When I got back above ground, I was surprised to see that Goom had done more work on our town. He'd added an entire new building with a music room inside. He went behind the piano and played some tunes.
How do you like these tunes, Zozo?
Very cool, Goom. I took his place on the piano and played some tunes myself while he started singing badly.
I done wrote this one myself. Oh, friendship is like cheese and crackers. It can go bad if you leave the cheese in the sun and drop the crackers.
From day 27 to day 31, I ventured back out to the frozen river, sick of all the desert dust bowl tumbleweeds giving me the sneezes. Achoo! As I practiced my Olympic-level ice skating skills, I was approached by a donkey who was standing on the snow slopes nearby.
You, get with the skates.
Who, me?
Yeah, yous. I saw what you did to those baracos a few days back, making them all fall down into the ice below us, killing them all in one swift freeze. I'll admit, it was pretty impressive, making them all sleep with the fishes that quick. I normally don't respect the law, but with an act like that, it was a true sight to behold.
Thanks.
No, thank yous. I was getting real sick of those guys skating on my ice. But here's the problem, Slick. Now that I got a bunch of corpses floating underneath my rink, I don't need Sheriff Lionessa accusing me of murder. My charges were dropped years ago, and I don't need them back. Think you can get me out of Dodge and find me a new place to live?
Yeah, the sheriff's base is always open. You're free to crash at our place if you'd like.
Being invited to the sheriff's digs? Love it. That should look good on my record. I'll meet you back there, sport. Don't go murdering any more fellas on my property here, though. Capisce?
With that being said, we left the frozen river. To celebrate Donkey moving in, I decided to collect some sheep's wool and make some additional decorations for my base. But before I could craft anything, Lionessa rushed up to me in a panic.
Nico, it's Bubbles.
Bubbles, I mean, Toothface, what about him?
He's gone, poofed, vanished, popped like a bubble in thin air. He's my second half, the peanut butter to my jelly. We need to go looking for him, and fast. He's my bestest partner, Nico. I can't bear to lose him.
Fear not, brave lioness. We'll find Bubbles, I'm sure of it. Just let me lead the way. From day 32 to day 35, I rushed through the desert alongside Sheriff Nessa to the campfire where Deputy Bubbles would take his iconic siestas. But with a bevy of baracas on the way, this place was about to be anything but restful.
Let's split up to cover more ground. That way, at least one of us will find Bubbles. Whatever outlaws we run into, we'll take them out along the way.
You got it, Sheriff. I've got a duty to my fellow deputy. Nessa moved one way, and I went the other. And before I knew it, I had run into a whole mess of bandits. Face the cold light of justice! I shouted as I launched my ice blast at the mobs. Even though there were a lot of them, I was able to dodge their attacks using my boosted jump and strike back with my iron sword. I was able to fight my way through the lot of them quick enough to reach Bubbles, who was lying on the ground. Bubbles, are you okay?
Second Deputy Zozo, I wish you didn't have to see me like this.
Like what? You're gonna be fine.
Don't lie to me, kid. Not now. Just promise you'll be a good first deputy.
Bubbles, no! Stay with me! Bubbles!
Dang, and I was just 100 days from retirement.
And right after he said that, Bubbles was off to the great retirement home in the sky. Bubbles! Those bandits will pay for this! Avenge you! I will! I tracked down the rest of the low-down bandits I could find and demolished each and every one of them with my iron sword for Bubbles! From day 36 to day 39, I mourned the loss of Sheriff Lionessa's deputy number 1, exploring the eroded Badlands to get some time out of the house. Without Bubbles there, it felt so horribly empty, and I guess, now that he's gone, I'm now the deputy number 1, though I don't feel honored to have the position, given the fact he had to die for me to get it. As I was lost in contemplative thought, debating on turning in my badge, I didn't notice the big elephant standing before me, so I accidentally walked right into him. Oof, oh, sorry, I didn't see you there.
Well, that's a first. I noticed you deep in thought there. Is something on your mind, little one?
Yeah, I'm thinking about turning in my deputy's badge, actually.
Hold on, my child. You work for Sheriff Lionessa and Bubbles?
Just Sheriff Lionessa now.
Oh, did Bubbles retire?
In some sense of the word, yeah.
Darn. Well, I hope he reaps all the benefits. I'm an old gal, and I'm sure looking forward to mine. Speaking of, before you retire and turn in your own shiny star, could you help me out with something?
Sure, what is it?
You see, there's this dragon who keeps flying around my head, calling me mean names like Peanut Head and such. He always hurts my feelings, and as you know, sticks and stones may break my bones, but an elephant never forgets the names you call them. Think you could take him out for me, maybe? There's only so much this old girl can take.
I could use some catharsis. Sure, elephant, I can help you out. Watch me throw some of my own sticks and stones at him, and maybe break some dragon bones too.
Oh, but be warned, he isn't just any dragon.
The dragon emerged from the top of the hill, and she was right. It wasn't just any dragon.
It's a fire dragon, the most feared beast on our cubicle Earth. According to the Cube Earther Society I'm deeply involved in, the most evilest of fiends, the most...
With one tap of my iron sword, the beast came tumbling down. Oh, adventures just aren't fun anymore. Not without my bestest partner Cash around. If he was here, we would have made this an epic long fight, full of fantastical awe. But now that he's gone, I too feel empty, just like Sheriff Lionessa in the face of No More Bubbles. Thanks for the side quest completely unrelated to our Western theme, Al, but I gotta get him back.
How'd you manage to take that fire dragon out so fast?
Partnerless woe. From day 40 to day 43, I trudged home to my base with a heavy heart. By now, the word of Deputy Bubbles' death had reached Sheriff Nessa. She had called me back because she missed Bubbles and needed some company.
Yes, indeed. Because of what his gang did, Sticky Paws has now made himself the most wanted criminal in the overworld. Again, I'm gonna take a break from the case now, though. It's too soon to get back out there. I'm gonna invite my sisters over so I can spend some time with them.
Take all the time you need. Bubbles was one of us, and we'll get that squirrel back when we're ready. Later on, some other lionesses came by the base. They were Nessa's family. I welcomed them in and let them go speak with Nessa so that she wouldn't feel so alone. Everybody needs a partner, and sometimes it's hard to find another one when yours leaves unexpectedly. I wandered around the base, reflecting on the fact that Cash was still many days away from me. I may have become the first deputy, but I didn't feel any closer to catching that squirrel that stole my buddy. During my walk, I was approached by the donkey, who had a lot to say all of a sudden.
Hey, hi, Zozo! I'm walking here, and so are you! Yeah, listen to me for a second. I know a guy who knows a guy whose cousin knows a guy who told him that Sticky Paws has a log cabin he likes to hide in out up north.
A log cabin? Up north? Hey, I've been to a log cabin up north. Do you think it might be the same one?
No-hee-haw! It's further north than you've ever been, that's for sure. You gotta go all the way past the frozen river and into the snowy, deciduous forest.
I took the donkey's advice and packed up to head north. Sticky Paws might have been waiting for me up there. From day 44 to day 49, I trekked into the snowy, deciduous forest in search of old Sticky Paws' old log cabin. I hoped to find Cash waiting inside for me, maybe with a nice big bowl of warm porridge or a cup of hot chocolate to share. Despite having ice powers on my own, the weather sure was turning me into a snow cone. Man, who knew the Wild West would shift into a wild Winter West? I'm freezing my chaps off up here. Seeing a chimney puffing smoke in the distance, I decided to follow its air all the way up to the front door. For a moment, I wasn't sure if this was the right log cabin, as a big sign that read, "Definitely not! Sticky Paws Squirrel's Rootin' Tootin' Lair" was posted up front. But upon further inspection, I saw two figures in the front window. One, a squirrel-like figure, and another one that looked like Cash. I burst through the front door with pistols, or whatever the equivalent I had of blazing, a proper bustin' for the rescue of my friend. Pew pew, Sticky Paws where I can see him, rodent. Old Sticky Paws Squirrel was startled. I went to check upstairs, but oddly enough, there was no Cash to be found. Instead, sat an armor stand holding a brain, tall enough to be mistaken for a human. That's what I must have seen outside the window.
What in tarnation? How'd you manage to find my hideout?
That sign out front was definitely deceiving, I'll admit, but without a shadow of a doubt, I was able to recognize yours. Now tell me where Cash is, or explain why you have a brain in that jar. Either or, preferably both.
Oh, he really didn't tell you, did he? Well, I suppose he wouldn't have been able to. That wacky old kook hasn't been able to say a sentence straight in years.
What are you going on about? And whose brain does this belong to? With the way you're talking nonsense, it's leading me to believe it might as well be yours.
It's not mine, you jackrabbit jerk. My brains are as sharp as ever, and it's all thanks to an old mentor of mine. Ever heard the name Crazy Old Goom? That elderly wild card taught me everything I know, from pickpocketing to robbery and even kidnapping. But when I learned all that was left to learn, I couldn't risk him uprising against me and that big old noggin of his. I played the cards first and snatched his brain right out of his ear before he could rat me out to the sheriff.
But he'd never rat you out, Sticky Paws, and I know it. He's a real pal, a confidant. He'd never tattle on his best partner, you.
I don't need partners. I work alone. And soon, you'll be all alone too, in your very own coffin. Oh, Pigorus!
With the beckon of his western whistle soon emerged a three-headed Cerebus. No, a Pigorus! In two shakes of a rodent's tail, that sticky-pawed squirrel nabbed the brain from the stand and hopped out the window, rushing into the snow, and soon out of my sight. Knowing I'd have to save myself before I could even begin to save Cash or Crazy Old Goom's brain, I whipped out my Wild West iron sword and pointed it toward the Pigorus creature before me, preparing for battle. This little piggy ran to the market, and this little piggy ran home. This little piggy went western.
And this little piggy went bacon berserk.
From day 50 to day 53, my pitched battle with the three-headed triple threat Pigorus started as he revealed his secret weapon, Fireball!
Yeah, you will be so flame-broiled like a crispy bratwurst. I love pig-flavored food.
You and your two other heads are going down. Which one am I talking to? I'll let you decide. I used my ice blast to douse some of the fire, then I ran in with my iron sword and did some real damage. With my boosted jump, I flew high over Pigorus's head and dropped down behind him to land some more attacks. Pigorus tried to bite me with his three heads, but I fended him off and put the freeze on him with some more ice blasts.
Oh, mine! This ice is so chilly on my piggy body.
Get used to it. I'm sending you back to the frozen food section at your local grocery store. Say hello to the bagged cauliflower and smiley potatoes for me. And with one furious ice blast, I froze the powerful porcine, three heads and all. Upon his trip to an icy fate, Pigorus dropped a pair of harpoon crossbows. These are… I didn't know why, but the crossbows felt super important somehow. I decided to take them with me and see what the significance was later. Just then, I saw a vision of a younger, cleverer Goom storing a pair of harpoon crossbows.
I'm the most clever Goom of this lick. If any of you want to try it, come and wet your horns.
These were the harpoon crossbows of clever young Goom. I should give them to crazy old Goom for safekeeping. Oh wait, crazy old Goom was clever young Goom before he got crazy and old. He probably doesn't remember these, but it'd be a nice gesture for a goblin who has lost his brain. From day 54 to day 57, I began heading back to my base to get in some well-deserved post-battle Z's. But before I could return home on the range from the snowy forest, I struck gold. Actually, gold struck me. It was the Golden Devourer, and just like his name suggested, he was ready to devour me whole. Please don't eat me. I just finished fighting off a great gaggle of pigs, and I'd prefer not to see how the sausage gets made. But the huge homunculus was super hangry and wasn't about to give up without a fight. So in classic miner fashion, I drew my iron pickaxe, knowing exactly what I had to do. Your gold is as good as mine, because I'm gonna mine you. Hi-ho, it's off to work I go! It took an awful lot of effort on my end, but listening to crazy old Goom detail the exact methods of correctly panning for gold days on end finally paid off. And with a few final strikes of my pickaxe, I destroyed the Golden Devourer quicker than a fruit bat on a sugar high hyped up on espresso on a Monday morn. Now it was time to finally head back to my base and snooze the rest of the day away. My pal Donkey came over, tucking me into bed with his weirdly opposable hooves.
Night-night, sleep tight, and don't you let those bed bugs bite. Good job up at Sticky Paw's cabin today, kiddo. He may have gotten out of your grasp, but next time, he won't be so lucky.
From day 58 to day 62, I did a check-in on my sheep farm and found that I now had a ton of wool to decorate the base with. I was even able to create a soundproof meditation room for whenever I needed to find inner peace. If I'm gonna be alone without my best buddy Cash, I might as well gain some wisdom through solitude. I meditated for a while, foregoing my attachments to material possessions for a bit. Once I was feeling detached enough, I left the meditation room and went to the mines to refocus on what really mattered. Diamonds, and plenty of them. I dug up a bunch of shinies and used them to craft myself a diamond pickaxe and a diamond sword. The best of the best. I was now balanced perfectly between enlightenment and having cool stuff. I was totally on a roll. When I got back above ground, I was greeted by Sheriff Nessa, who had been making use of the meditation room herself.
First Deputy Zozo, my meditation has revealed to me some of the wisdom of the universe.
Really? What is the universe saying to you?
The universe is saying that we're all connected to somebody, and if you choose to embrace your connections, you'll go farther than you ever could alone. The overworld is made up of all different people, and without friends to share our happiness with, we wouldn't have happiness at all.
Oh, that is so wise. I'm impressed. From day 63 to day 66, I took the harpoon crossbows I got from defeating Pigorus and gave them back to crazy old Goom so that he might remember his past.
What in tarnation are these? I got the memories flooding back into my head, something fierce. I can't even contain them without my brain, but somehow I feel like I know something about something again.
What do you know, Goom?
I say, these old crossbows once belonged to me, didn't they? Back when I was one clever young Goom. Oh boy. What happened to me? Am I right?
You're still the same old you, deep down, even if you've gotten a little crazy and old. And besides, you've got a real friend now, me.
Thanks, Zozo. You warmed this old goblin's heart. And also, holding these bad boys reminds me that I used to store up all my stolen goods on Gravelly Mountain during my bandit days. I had some good times back then, even if it is behind me.
It was nice to see Goom recalling some of his past. Even more importantly to my quest, his memories were pointing me towards the Gravelly Mountain biome. I went exploring and soon found myself in that strange new place he mentioned. I didn't know what new discoveries I might find, but I was sure it would help lead me back to cash. That's when I spotted an evil zoologist.
I'm not evil. I'm just a regular zoologist, and I need your help identifying a new species. Want to come with?
Sure, if only to ease my guilty conscience. I have to stop making snap judgments of people. From day 67 to day 70, the not-so-evil zoologist and I went walking through the gravelly mountains until we encountered a rare mushroom monster.
There it is, the animal that I haven't been able to identify before.
I think I know what your problem is. You're a zoologist, which means you study animals. That's not an animal, it's a fungus.
Oh, that would explain a lot. Anyway, I'm not interested in fungi. You can totally destroy that mob now.
Are you sure you're not evil? I decided to take on the monster mushroom using my fungus-bursting ice blast. There was no way such a weird creature could beat me now, especially when it was fighting all on its own. I had the power of friendship to guide me. Once the loathsome thing was defeated, I took a big look around and didn't see the zoologist anywhere. I guess they really didn't care to stick around. Good friends are truly hard to come by these days. I continued to hike further into the gravelly mountains all by my lonesome. From day 71 to day 74, I came to the top of a great ridge and thought I could see a mountain stronghold in the distance. Could that be where crazy old Goom left all of his treasure? Is the real treasure the friends we made along the way? Or is the real treasure all of the Zozo videos you can find if you search Zozo to watch more of my wild adventures? That's Zozo, and don't you forget it. The closer I got to the big fortress, the more creepy it seemed. I could definitely tell it was as old as Goom, and was probably the place he mentioned. That's when Sticky Paws appeared out of nowhere.
You got a lot of nerve showing up here, First Deputy Zozo. Where's your boss, the sheriff?
She's getting in touch with her spiritual side, and I'm going to send you to the other side.
Big talk from some guy who can't do nothing without a partner. Take this!
Sticky Paws unleashed a knockback attack, which blew me right off the mountain and into a puddle of water. I landed safely, but I was soaked with water. Oh man, that was a real close one. I'd better go back to my base for now, before Sticky Paws realizes I survived the drop. From day 75 to day 78, I sat in my room like one miserable cowpoke. Getting pushed into the water the other day had caused me to catch a really bad cold, and because of that, I had to use some of my deputy sick days to recuperate. Oh man, I hate getting colds. Achoo! I spent a while feeling sad and bad until the donkey showed up with some soup he made in the base's brand new state-of-the-art gourmet kitchen.
That ought to get you feeling like $1 million, or at least $20. Wow!
The soup is nice, but your funny laugh cheered me up even more, donkey. A couple hours later, I was feeling well enough to go visit Sheriff Nessa and tell her that I'd soon be fit to serve again. First Deputy Zozo reporting for duty. Once I get over the last of this cold, I'm going to bring that low-down son of a squirrel Sticky Paws to justice and rescue my good old partner Cash.
Glad to hear it, Deputy. By the way, there's a special perk of being a first deputy that I was saving for you when you were ready.
That's cool, but why are you telling me now?
Because I've determined you're ready, of course.
Oh, nice.
This is the Nether Strike of the First Deputy. Use it to become your best self.
I equipped the Nether Striker, which came with a neato burn effect. It also raised my hearts to a total of 100 and gave me the power to call down the lightning of justice from the skies above. I'm the deputy of deputies now. From day 79 to day 84, with my trusty Nether Striker by my side, I returned to the gravelly mountains to do some more reconnaissance on the area. I didn't see any sign of Sticky Paws, but the mountain was full of wandering witches that terrorized the land. I called down some lightning strikes and hit them with ice blasts, showing off the full skill set that I had acquired on my journey to becoming a first deputy. Wait until Cash sees me. I can't wait to tell him about this whole thrilling adventure. On one of the tallest peaks, I ran into a wind caller who was just chilling outside and enjoying the breeze. Hey there, guy. I'm First Deputy Zozo. I'm on the trail of a notoriously buck-toothed bandito by the name of Sticky Paws the Squirrel. Have you seen him?
Nah, man, I haven't. But you know what I have seen? A deputy who needs to take some time to feel the breeze and relax.
Do you mean me?
Yes, sir, Mr. Man.
Why don't you climb up here with me and just let the wind guide you?
The two of us stood up on that cliff for a while, and I soon found myself in a much better state of mind. Thanks, Windcaller. Guess I really did need that after all.
You'll need this too.
The Windcaller gave me a rare item, a mercenary chest plate, which would increase the power of my ice blast. Thanks again and again.
You're most certainly welcome.
From day 85 to day 89, I felt like doing some more meditation before my big showdown with Sticky Paws, so I walked back through the desert towards my base. When I got there, it was completely overrun by some bad barrackos. Sticky Paws has launched an all-out raid on the western base. I'd better put my gear to good use and clear these bandits out. My pumped-up ice blast made short work of one group of the barrackos, and I jumped over to another group and took them down with lightning strikes. With my sword and lightning, I chopped through all of the ones that were trying to escape, except for one pesky one that fled back in the direction of the gravelly mountains.
You'll never take me alive, Deputy Zozo!
Man, not the mountains. I just got back from there. I wouldn't be able to meditate with enemies on the loose, so I hightailed it after the baracco and found myself lost somewhere in the desert. Oh man, now I'm completely lost. I knew I should have invested in a compass, a map, or some common sense. That's when I encountered a trader llama, a fuzzy merchant of the sands.
Are you lost, little deputy? No worries. I'm Llama, PW Llama, and I can guide you out of the desert with zero drama.
Hooray! What a convenient convenience! The trader llama led me home to the foot of the gravelly mountains, and I was back on track to find Sticky Paws' hideout. From day 90 to day 94, I climbed my way back up the gravelly mountains and tracked down that buckin' baracco. It was headed for that same stronghold that I had seen from a distance earlier, the lost treasure hold of clever young Goom. That must be where Sticky Paws is hiding out.
You'll never know!
The baracco ran inside and shuttered the gate. I was ready to follow him through when an enormous green manticore flew down out of the sky and landed right in front of me.
Stop right there, you silly mining boy. I'm Mercald Macoon, and I'm the biggest, baddest, most massive manticore you've ever laid your milk-drinking eyes upon. Sticky Paws promised me a cash reward if I gobbled up the meddling deputy, which is you. Behold my mighty emerald coloration, for it'll be the last sight you'll ever see.
A cash reward? Sticky Paws was gonna feed my best friend to you. This just got personal. Its first deputy defeats a green manticore.
That's Mercad Macoon to you, third of my name, heir to the mightiest of the Highland Manticore clans. I've eaten hunks of haggis bigger than you for a snack, you wimpy McWhipperson.
The green manticore pounced on me, but I battered him away with my nether striker. The burn effect took hold quickly, and I followed it up with a lightning strike before making a backwards boost jump to get out of his range. His attack had done a bunch of damage to me, so I had to fight smart. I had never battled a foe so mean, so massive, so manticore.
So Mercad Macoon.
From day 95 to day 97, I continued my ferociously Scottish battle with Manticore Mercad Macoon, terrified that if I were to lose, my best partner Cash would surely become Manticore Haggis, myself being the appetizer. Since my physical attacks weren't doing much damage, I decided I'd need to shake up my course of action if I wanted to win, and thus I engaged in fiendish mind games. With quick footing, I began to jig around the Manticore with increasing leprechaunic speed, all my ice dancing practice from the frozen forest really paying off. Check out these moves, Mercad. I just love doing the Scottish jig.
No, that jig isn't Scottish, it's Irish. You're stepping on the fourth and first notes of the music. And unlike Irish jigs, Scottish jigs don't emphasize notes at all. It's wrong, all wrong.
And boy, I sure do love Scottish shepherd's pie.
Stop that! That's Irish too, not Scottish. We're not the same. We're two discernible places, separated by the North Channel. Ah!
The Manticore's brain was hurting so bad from all the jigging, he fell and left behind crazy old Goom's brain. No wonder all those mind games worked, as in winning the game, I won back the mind. Goom's mind, literally! Thrilled to have finally obtained Goom's brain and all his metaphorical marbles along with it, I did yet another victory Irish jig before Irishly jigging back to my base in order to return it to him. Maybe once I get cash back, I could turn in my deputy's badge and pick up a brand new career in jigging. Compared to chasing after Western outlaws all day, it's a much more fun way to exercise. On day 98, I returned to my base with the brain of Goom in tow. Now that I knew where Sticky Paws was hoarding all his cash, as well as literally my friend cash, I could confirm my mission with the sheriff and go to arrest him within the next couple days. It's been a wild ride, but this old journey is almost complete. And soon, I'll see Cash again and get to hear his iconic voice. I encountered Goom on his porch first and plopped his brain back into his ear without a moment's hesitation.
Wowee, I've got myself my brain back. I can remember arithmetic now and the names of at least 300 Pokemon. Thank you, Zozo. You're my best friend.
It was nothing, crazy old Goom, or clever old Goom. All that's left to do now is to get revenge on Sticky Paws.
Not without these here harpoon crossbows, you won't. Looky here.
Goom gave me his harpoon crossbows, which would prove a powerful ranged weapon for the final conflict, especially because I was able to boost their damage with my mercenary chestplate. Next, I went to visit Sheriff Nessa, who gave me the okay to make the arrest on Sticky Paws.
When all of this is over, Bubbles will be avenged and the land will be free from all crimes.
And more importantly, Cash will be back and we'll be able to make more content.
You're a loose cannon, First Deputy Nico Zozo. A credit to the force.
Now that I had talked to everyone important, I prepared to leave the base and Donkey was standing in front of me. It was super awkward.
Well, don't we have a meaningful scene of closure to attend to? You and me? Wrapping up our subplot?
As I was saying, now that I had talked to everyone important, I left the base for the gravelly mountains. On day 99, I was more than ready for my big southern showdown with the sticky-pawed squirrel, striding through the desert with immeasurable cowboy swagger. I passed through the eroded badlands, hearkening to the good old times of when I first met the still old, but now clever, Goom. And as I climbed the big rock gravelly mountains with my western wall-walking powers, I feared not the large horde of bandit baracos awaiting my arrival. Well, if y'all fellers got a bone to pick with me, you'd better think again. I'll soon be picking out all your bones, straight from your baraco bodies. Now draw!
A picture?
Now, this! I opened fire on the baracos with every power I could muster, not even waiting for them to turn and walk 20 paces like a typical cowboy duel would require. I don't play by the rules of the duel, I play by the rules of partnership, and I'm gonna get my partner Cash back by any means necessary, even if it means turning y'all into tumbleweeds. With my outrageous amount of fiery skill, I blasted, spittooned, and yeehawed the rest of the baracos to desert dust. But as the last sticky-pawed henchman approached, I was surprised to get help from an old pal, one in which I met on these mountains not too long ago.
I do enjoy discovering a new species now and again, but there's something so incredibly satisfying about finding one to have recently gone extinct.
My zoologist friend slapped the last baraco off the mountain with his large book of zoologist research. Are you sure you're not evil, Mr. Zoologist? Are you sure?
I'm morally gray at best. Now, go get your best partner Cash back, Nico. The coast is clear, and your showdown is at high noon.
Oh no, he was right. I couldn't be late to my final quarrel with the squirrel. On day 100, it was high noon, and time for a big showdown with the most wanted squirrel in the whole Wild West. Sticky Paws, I'm a-calling you out. Feeling called out, Sticky Paws stepped out of the stronghold in order to confront me in an ultimate battle of good versus evil.
I told you not to mess with me. And what did you do? You became a deputy. You restored my former partner's brain and basically single-handedly destroyed my entire criminal enterprise. What in the overworld compelled you to go this far?
You kidnapped Cash, and I'd do anything to get my best buddy back. All that other stuff I did was only possible because my friendship is so strong.
That's a load of hooey. You did the whole thing by yourself. If anything, you didn't need anyone in order to be your best self. Who needs a partner in crime?
Gotta have a partner in crime, Sticky Paws, because if you don't, there's no point to it at all. You can't share it with anyone.
Sharing is overrated. Now get ready for the showdown to begin.
Sticky Paws and I turned around and walked 3 paces back. Then we faced each other. I fired Goom's harpoon crossbow at Sticky Paws and then called down the fury of lightning strikes of justice. That was for Goom! Without the power of friendship, Sticky Paws was felled by my shots and the showdown was over! I did it! But now I gotta find cash! I went inside the stronghold and found a big mess of treasure. But more than the gold and the diamonds, the cash I was looking for was there. I high-fived Cash and we celebrated our reunion because our 100-day challenge was now complete.